to the Daddy Issues podcast with Danny D, where we take a deep dive into the everyday lives of men who are fathers and husbands, their day-to-day struggles with mental health, fatherhood, finances, fitness, and how they build and maintain healthy relationships on a daily basis. So join us each week as we interview different men and get their perspectives on different topics, and also what they feel like they have to do every day to become the best version of themselves. So, if you're not too busy, let's get started. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Daddy Issues podcast. It's your boy, Danny D. Nice to see you guys. Nice of you guys to join me for episode 9 of season 1. I'm sorry. First of all, listen, I owe you guys an apology, man. I owe you guys an apology. Lately, I've been really pumping out the content, right? I've been trying to go through some of these emails and put out some good episodes and good content. We also just started a motivational, we call it the Morning Motivational Minute, over on our our YouTube channel, where we host a lot of these video podcasts, because we have some on Spotify as well. You can go check those out at Daddy Issues Podcast 365 at YouTube. That's the tag if you want to look at my ugly mug and listen to the actual live podcast. And we also have the audio podcast on there as well, but we started something called a Morning Minute, where there's just like motivational little videos and things like that you can check out. So shoot your ass on over there and check that out. And while you're there, guess what? Like my shit, subscribe, and share my shit. Don't go pissing me off when we just met back up. But again, I owe you guys an apology, man. I've been sick. I've been under the weather. Your boy's been in the hospital, man. Man, I've been in the hospital. I've been sick. You know, I've been down. I've been down bad. Life has been getting to me, right? But I feel well enough today to be able to shuffle around like a fucking zombie and sit in this chair and put out a podcast for you guys, man. So, like I said, it is episode 9 of season 1, and I think we're gonna have another good show. I think lately we've really been knocking it out the park. You guys' emails are great. Speaking to that, if you want to write into the show, it's going to be dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. Send me an email, right? And you know what, guys? I also owe you guys an apology for that, because you guys have been smacking me in the head with emails. I didn't think we were going to get as many we've been getting. I've been trying to get through them and do episodes or line future episodes up. So if you send me an email, don't be discouraged. I'm going to get to it eventually. Like I said, I don't have any real rhyme or reason when I'm going through these emails. I'm just, scanning through them and reading them. And when I think I found a good one, I read it. So don't be discouraged, guys. I'll get to your emails. Speaking of that, you know what, man? We're getting into a lot of fucking business matters right now, man. We're getting to a lot of charts and shapes and colors and things like that. And we haven't even done our affirmations, man. Listen, I want to start off by saying, man, guess what? Welcome. I'm proud to see you here. I'm happy. I haven't saw you guys in a few days, maybe a week or so. So I'm glad you guys can show up. I'm glad you guys rolled out of bed with your messy hair, makeup all over the fucking place, breath smell like a naked demon has been sleeping in your mouth. I'm proud you guys can join me to be right here with me right now. That's exactly where you're meant to be. And if you guys get something from the show today, share it, man. Share it. Give it to somebody else so it can make their day. And if nobody's told you this morning or afternoon or this evening, whenever you're listening to this podcast, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. You made it. You made it. You're still up. You're still standing. You're still on your own 2 feet. And you're still grinding, man. I hear it. I hear those gears just grinding. You're grinding. I'm proud of you, man. You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. You're doing it in style with a bunch of swag. Okay, man. Enough of the mushy shit. Enough of that. Let's get to the episode of the day. So let me pull up the email. This is what live productions is. You get to watch me shuffle and scramble to pull up things. Okay. Man, look at my face, man. I look like I'm going up to the upper room. All right, so that was childish, man. I've been waiting to use that, but look at all this light that it's blasting me in the side of the face. All right, let me get serious on this one, man. Let me buckle in. Let me zone in, man. Let me do my thing, all right? Because I'm not serious right now. Okay, hey everyone, this is Jordan. I'm tuning in today with a knot in my stomach. Seeking some guidance on a challenging family situation, my mom and dad recently went through a divorce, primarily fueled by her ongoing struggle with alcohol. The heartbreaking part is that she refuses to acknowledge the issue or seek the help she desperately needs. Adding another layer to this, my sister has already left for college, creating a void that seems to intensify the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. Now, as I gear up to leave for my own college journey, I can't shake the worry about what might happen to my mom when I'm not around. There's this constant fear gnawing at me, the fear that if I focus on my studies, she might spiral further without the support she needs. On the flip side, if I prioritize her well-being, I'm afraid it can jeopardize my own academic success. I'm stuck in this emotional tug-of-war, unsure of how to strike a balance. Has anyone navigated a similar situation or have advice on managing family responsibilities while still being able to pursue personal goals? I appreciate any insights or words of wisdom you might have. Thanks for being a soundboard in these challenging times, Jordan. Man, first of all, I want to say I appreciate you, Jordan. Man, I appreciate you writing in, man. Willing to accept some advice from this ragtag bunch on this podcast, man. I'm proud of you, man. It's a hard thing to be able to take a situation that you're personally going through and put it into words and reach out to a stranger, man, in hopes to find some answers. But like I always say, that's the first step. Trying to find some answers to resolve the problem that you're having. And the problem that you're having right now is, man, it's rough. It's rough, Jordan. It's rough. First of all, man, we're talking about I don't want to say disease, man. I think that's a trigger for me, believe it or not. Like I hear people put that word disease on a lot of things, man. Like I could say it's an addiction. I think you use the right word, an addiction, but I think a lot of people label, and this is probably triggering people when I say that I don't believe that it's a disease. Hey, what do you mean, man? I'm going through this. This is a disease. My doctor told me this and told me that. I get it. But to me, disease is like, Parkinson's or HIV or, things like those, like actual diseases, right? To me, alcoholism or, a pornography addiction, that's not a disease because you have a choice. I think that's what separates an addiction from a disease, is that you have a choice in the matter. I know a lot of people say, hey, no, I don't have a choice. I have to do this. I don't believe that, man. I believe everybody has a choice. Everybody can make a decision when there's a decision that's available to be made. You can not go in there and drink, or you can drink. You can pop on that computer and put on your favorite scene, man, from Pornhub or whatever your special site is, or you can't. It's a decision. So to me, I think that borderline's more of an addiction than a disease. But, some people believe that alcoholism in this particular situation with Jordan is a disease. He didn't say that he's an addiction. I think he used the right terminology for it. But I don't know, that triggers me when people say that, man, about different things that they have choices in. They say, oh, man, this is a disease. I don't believe so, man. But I digress. Jordan, you're dealing with a difficult situation. One, it's your mother. Two, it seems like you're the only one there at the time. What I decipher from your email is that your dad and your mom didn't work out, and you believe that's your personal opinion. There's probably a lot of things that you didn't hear behind closed doors, or a lot of information you weren't privy to, during their difficult time or whatever led to their divorce. But one thing you are sure about, that alcoholism had a part to play in it. And I believe that can be true, especially when you're starting to add variables in, different variables like drugs or alcohol or, infidelity into a situation, things that are unpredictable. It could change people's characteristics, it can change their personality drastically, and it can make a situation, a mild situation, a lot worse. So, you're there. Your sister just went off to college. Your father's gone. You didn't mention any other siblings, but it's just you and your mom right there. So at this time, man, you're a caretaker in a way. You know what? You're probably trying to help manage her addiction on a daily basis and make sure that she's able to function. Because, man, when you start getting into addictions and things like that, man, shit gets really unpredictable. But that can be a hard situation to have, and I'm pretty sure that you've maybe had a few conversations with your mother, like, hey, you need to give this up. You need to stop messing around with this alcohol. You need to get some help. Hopefully you have that hard conversation with her. Maybe not. A lot of people don't like engaging in those types of conversations because it's easier to tell a stranger or maybe just like a friend or acquaintance. Give them some advice about, and that's strange when you think about it, right? It's easier to give a friend or someone close to us, an acquaintance, someone that we see on a somewhat daily basis, helpful information or advice about a vice that they're in or going through, or an addiction, or a disease, as you guys would use it, outside of our own family, outside of our blood, because those conversations are a lot harder to have because we have an investment in those conversations, right? Those are people that we have extreme attachments to, people that we love. So when it comes to talking about an addiction, specifically about Jordan's situation, when we're talking about alcoholism, that's a tough conversation to have. Just being in that situation, watching somebody crumble, watching their characteristics, the person that you love, the person that you grew up knowing, crumble and just become a different person, it's hard to even think about being in that situation, let alone having a conversation to that person about getting the help they need. So, it's really hard to approach these types of situations. And when it comes to these type of situations, I believe there's right moments and right times to try to address the situation. I don't believe that there's a lot of time to address these situations because I believe they're progressive. They just get worse and worse. And when it comes to alcoholism, I think those are one of the situations that progress the fastest. You start, consuming more. You start to look at your surroundings more in a different light, through a fog, and you just escalate. And I'm sure, since Jordan, you're the only one there in the house, and you're the primary caretaker of your mother when she's going through this addiction, you're probably the one who's taking the abuse verbally, maybe physically. Obviously, you didn't say that in the email, but looking at these situations based off other people's situations, and I know everybody's situation is different. I'm just throwing it out there. Typically the person who's there the most is the one who takes the brunt of the verbal abuse, physical abuse, and things like that. So it can be a rough situation, Jordan. It can be a tough situation, and I don't know if you had that hard conversation with your mother. If you haven't, I believe that you need to, man. You need to, first and foremost. And it's gonna sound rough, man, but you need to take care of yourself, Jordan. Honestly, you need to prioritize what you're gonna do, right? Unfortunately, your mother's an adult. She's an adult, man. She's an adult. This decision that she's making concerning her addiction is a decision that she's making concerning her addiction, right? Yeah, to her, if you talk to her, it may not feel like a choice. It may feel like I have to do this to be able to cope with my pain, because she's probably in a profound amount of pain. She lost her husband. They went through a divorce. Her daughter, which a lot of mothers, they like, the dynamics for siblings when it comes to parents is different at the most, right? Because mothers seem to gravitate more to their sons for that protection, that almost that husband role, if that makes sense. I hope that doesn't sound weird, but they raise their sons, they're around their sons. As their sons get older, they start to become protectors more than their sons, right? That's how their mothers look at them. So they gravitate towards that part of their sons. And when it comes to the part of their daughters that they gravitate more, it's more of the conversations, right? They're not having those conversations, personal conversations with their sons. They rely more on those with their daughters, to help get that release or that stress, or see if there's something relatable, that they can confide and express in each other. And your sister's gone. She left out the house. I'm sure she was dealing with the same issues that you were dealing with, but it was more like 50-50. I don't know the conversations you guys had, but now that dynamic has left, right? It's gone, right? She went off to college. Seems like, she made up her mind. She made that decision, and she probably struggled with that, like you're struggling with it now. Now it's just you. But you have to prioritize yourself, Jordan. And I know that's rough to hear, man, but you gotta be able to say, hey, I I understand that my mom has an addiction. I understand that my mom's in a profound amount of pain right now. I understand that she's going through something that I can't possibly understand. But I still gotta look out for myself, right? Because I believe, and this is my opinion, when you're around things like that, when you're exposed to issues like that, especially with people you love and investments you have in people, those things start to imprint on you, right? Those situations start to become your situations. And instead of you acting in a normal way that you would do every day, when it comes to certain obstacles during the day or situations, you seem to face those types of situations out of characteristics, right? Out of your normal self. So, and let me elaborate on it a little bit. So when I say that, I mean, like, you're dealing with your mom every day, right? Stressful situation, high stressful situation. I mentioned it could be like verbal abuse, physical abuse, or it could be like no abuse at all. It can just be like, you're watching your mom have no motivation for life. All she wants to do is drink, right? And that could be stressful. So if you didn't have that variable in your life, you would come across something, an everyday situation that you would just address, right? Move on with your life. But now, since you have all these stressful variables added to you, you start to address normal situations in a different light. Something that you may have just addressed and moved on. Now you become escalated. You're more aggressive towards the situation, which can lead to you having issues or problems. So bringing it all back around, you have to be careful when you help people with certain types of situations, right? You have to, first, it's good to help, but you have to have it in the back of your head that I have to be cautious about how I'm dealing with this situation every day, because I don't want this situation to become a part of my personality or how I deal with situations, right? And it's very easy, especially when you're dealing with parents in heavy situations like we're talking about today with alcohol addiction. But I think that's the first thing you need to do, Jordan, right? You have to make up in your mind that your mom's an adult. You love her. We're not telling you not to love her. I'm not saying like, oh man, forget your mom. She made her choice already. But you have to understand that, and we talk about this in podcasts all the time, is that everybody has a time frame, right? Everybody has a small amount of time allotted to them, some less than others. You don't know what the future holds, but what we do know is that you're going into a tough situation, right? When it comes to college, requires a lot of attention, a lot of preparation. You have to be mentally prepared. You have to be physically prepared. There's a lot of things that come along with college, and it's good that you're trying to take that step and better yourself. I don't know what you're trying to study or how hard it's going to be, but we do know that it's going to require persistence and attention, right? But if you don't have that, it seems like you're struggling with right now because you're dealing with this situation, you could be setting yourself up for failure, man, which in turn can fuel what's going on right now. So if you say you try to split your time up between, handling your college studies and dealing with your mom's addiction, and your studies are starting to suffer, or, you're not getting all the full potential you could possibly be getting out if you were focused 100%, that can start to have negative effects, lead to negative emotions, and maybe, I don't know if you drink, you could start drinking, you can start, being down on yourself and being depressed and having all these negative thoughts, man. So you have to first get in that mode, like your sister did. Your sister, she probably had the same issues that you were having. She was probably worried about your mom. I don't know the dynamic, but I'm sure she went through it first, right? Now you're going through it, but she was brave enough to take that step. And I know, man, in your mind, you're probably going through the worst scenarios possible. If you left your mom, like, man, if I leave her, is she gonna drink herself to death? Is she gonna kill herself? Is she gonna make it? Is she gonna be able to maintain? And nobody wants to come back to that situation or get that hard call, like, hey, this happened to my parent, or this happened to this person, and you have to go deal with that. But in the same sense, man, your mother's an adult, man. Your mother's an adult. At this point, where she is right now, we know she has an issue. We know that she has an alcoholic addiction that she needs to handle. But there's places for that, Jordan. There's, things that programs and avenues that she can take to be able to get that first step. And this is another hard thing to hear, but you can tell a person all you want. You can give them as much advice as you can in the world. You can baby them. You can hold their hand. You can sit with them. You can, do everything you possibly can to try to make that person understand that this is not good, right? This is not where you need to be. But if that person is not willing to accept that help, and that's a big thing, man. If that person is not willing to accept that branch of help and move down that path, it's useless. It's pointless, man. It's pointless. It's falling on deaf ears, man. So, yeah, you don't have to just walk out on your mom. You don't have to do that, right? I just gave you some options. You can sit there. You can babysit her. You can help her. Like you call yourself helping her. Stand in the house with her, being her caretaker, watching over her until she drinks herself to death, or this comes to a conclusion. Or you can try to extend her some help, get her into a program possibly, try to find some agencies or avenues that she can, connect with. But you have to be open-minded and understand that she may not be willing to do that. And if that does happen, you have to come to the realization in your head that you've done everything you can do and it's okay. Not in the fact that, she's okay, but in the fact of I'm at peace with my decisions. I tried. I did everything I could. Right? Because you have to, Jordan, you have to continue to move on, man. You have to continue to move forward, man. Right? And we talked about this in other podcasts, but these type of situations, especially situations like this, they create growth, man. They create strength. Right? Your mother's decisions don't have to be your decisions, right? And trust me, man, I understand addiction, right? And that's when it comes to any addiction. But at the end of the day, Jordan, we're still talking about an addiction. We're not talking about a disease, right? We're not talking about ALS or cancer or something that's debilitating that she has no control over. Like I said, in my personal opinion, I believe addictions, there's a choice. There's always a choice, man. There's always a choice. Every day that you get up out of the bed, you have an opportunity to make a second choice. You have an opportunity to say, I'm not going to drink today. You have an opportunity to say, I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to go down a different path. I'm going to try something different today. But a lot of people in those situations, they don't, because they're able to live in that altered universe, that altered reality, because it's better for them. If that makes sense. To be in that fog helps them not to see everything that's going around them, right? Being in that daze or that stupor allows them to not focus on that pain or that uncomfortable situation that they're in. Whatever it is, and we're just talking about in generalities at this point. Whether it's like finances, like, man, I can't afford my bills, or I'm struggling on my job, or a divorce, like, oh man, this divorce is tearing me apart, or whatever the situation is, that whatever situation that they're going to that requires them to live in that fog zone, they have a choice. They have a choice. But it's hard, man. It's hard because when you lift up that curtain, man, you remove that fog, or you peel back those layers, and you have to deal with whatever fucking monster is waiting on the other side of that. A lot of people don't have the strength to do that, man. And I say this all the time. A lot of people, they don't make it back from these situations, right? They just continue down this path until they come to an inevitable conclusion. And typically, when you're going down a hard road like this, it's not a good ending. And I'm not saying anything to you, Jordan, like, oh man, your mom's gonna drink herself to death and die, or what I'm saying to you is you have to prioritize yourself, right? You can be there, you can watch over her, you can check in on her, you can go visit her. It's your mother at the end of the day. You love her, obviously, or you wouldn't be having this emotion that you're having. But you have to be able to understand that it's okay. It's her life. It's her life, man. It's her life. Just like your dad has his life, your sister has her life. You have your own life, man. You have your own life. You're young. You're getting ready to try to make some moves in college. I don't know what else you're doing outside of that, but you can't let this situation alter your reality, man. You can't. You can't let that happen. You can't. And if something does happen, you have to be willing to accept in your head that, man, I did everything I could do. I did what I could do, but she made her decision. She's making her decision every day, Jordan. And I understand that, like you said, it's gnawing at you. It's pulling at your heart, man, because you love your mom. And no one ever wants to see anything, happen to their mom. And it's probably easy for me to put it the way that I'm putting it because, my mom's not going through that struggle right now, that addiction that your mother has. So I don't see what you see every day. And I'm sure that has a huge impact on the decisions that you're making and the emotions that you're feeling. But at the end of the day, man, you got to understand that you have a life to live, man. You have decisions to make. And your mother needs help. Obviously, she needs help. You feel like this is an addiction. You said that, you believe that it led to, her and your father getting divorced. And I'm probably sure that had a big thing to do with it, because whenever you're already in a verbal, or you have a particular situation and you add alcohol into it, or drugs or whatever, you start to, it escalates it. And I'm sure you and your sister have seen things, had discussions with each other, probably had to be involved in some of these situations. So I know there's a lot of variables flying around in this situation, man. But now you're a man. Now you're an adult. Now you have decisions to make, man. Tough decisions. I know they're not, Jordan. I know they're tough decisions, man. But they're decisions that only you can make, right? Like I said before, man, there's only so much you can do for your mother, man. There's only so much you can do, right? If a person doesn't want to change, or a person doesn't want help, if they don't want to seek the proper avenues to be able to heal, and they just want to mask it with drugs or alcohol, man, that's the decision that they're making, man. That's the decision that they're making. And the thing about decisions, when we make them, man, there's always two sides to a decision. It's never one-sided. That's why it's a decision, right? Because you have sometimes multiple avenues and roads that you can go to, but you've made this one decision on this topic or the situation. Like, this is what I'm going to do, right? And if you decide to walk that road on that decision you made, you have to be willing to deal with the consequences at the end of that decision. And that's the same thing for you, Jordan. You got all these roads right now, man. You got the road to college. You got the road for your mother. You got whatever other roads you're dealing with. But specifically, man, you have to make a decision. And you're the only one that can make that decision. You're the only one. And yeah, we can always recover if we make bad decisions or wrong decisions. Well, not always, but the majority of the time. We take it as a learning lesson, and we decide that this road's not for us, and we double back. But, I think what you're going through, Jordan, here and now is very profound, man. It's a very important decision that you have to make. And in my personal opinion, like I said, I think that you need to have that hard conversation if you haven't had it with your mother yet, and let her know that she needs help. Hopefully you've already had that conversation. I'm sure your father's had that conversation, your sister had that conversation, and I'm pretty sure you've had that conversation, But like I said, your mother's living in the fog right now. She only can see what's in front of her. Whatever she is making her feel better. And at this point, it's alcohol. But your life is not her life. And your father's life is not your life. And your sister's life is not your life. You guys are all making a ton of decisions. And I know that Rolodex in your head of bad thoughts are just spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like, man. And it's shameful, man. It's shameful that people get put in these type of positions, man. And I know some people can't help it, but that's all we have to be. And I say this all the time. We have to be very conscious of the things that we say and we do and we put on other people. We have to, man, because if look at the Jordan situation, right? He's trying to help his mother. He loves her. But the pressure that his mother's placing on him right now, and it could be unknowingly, it can be like, maybe she doesn't know or maybe she doesn't care, but, she sees this man every day trying to take care of her and help her cope and deal with her issues, but she's not changing. She's not trying to do something different. She's just allowing this pressure to keep being applied to Jordan. So we have to be very cautious of our decisions that we make and who we bring into that fold, or those decisions that we make, because that can profoundly hurt a person. It's a terrible situation you're in, Jordan, man. And I feel for you, man. I feel for you, but you got to have that hard conversation with your mom if you haven't had her. This is my advice to you. And you have to start preparing yourself for life, man. You gotta prepare yourself to move forward, right? And what you got to do is do some self-care, man. You have to reach out to, maybe you need a therapist. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need to reach out to your father or your sister, or have some discussions, have an outlet, because you're constantly in that box, man. You're constantly there with your mother. You're constantly in this pain and turmoil, and watching your mom slowly degrade, slowly become somebody that you don't recognize. That pain is imprinting itself on you, man, and you're starting to struggle with it. And unfortunately, if she passed away, on your watch or while you're there with her, that's a whole nother set of circumstances you're going to have to get through and deal with. But it's not serving you, man. It's not serving you. You did what you can do. Like I said, we can do everything in the world to try to help a person. We can go above and beyond, way, way, way past what we should be doing. But if that person's not willing to change their ways or accept that help, it's a waste of our time. And I know that shit sounds bad, man. I know it does, especially when it comes to a mother, a father, or a sibling. But we can't allow their situations to become our situations. And that's what happens a lot of the time. We start drinking. We start smoking. We start to get depressed. We start to let those situations become our situations. And Jordan, you can't do that, man. You're just starting out, man. This situation can alter your whole life, man. And you have to make the decision here and now that you're not going to allow that to happen, man. You got to come to the realization that you did everything you can do. You tried everything you can do. But it's time for you to leave the nest like you were planning on doing and getting your life started, man. And, hopefully, your mom gets strong enough to deal with her addiction. She wakes up from that fog and understands, like, man, this is destroying my life, my family, hurting everybody around me, and decides to change that. And if that happens, man, obviously that's something to celebrate. It's something to be happy about, and that's confirmation that your decision was the right one. But at the same time, if she doesn't, if she just degrades further and spirals out, you also have to understand that you still made the right decision. You decided to prioritize yourself, your life, over something that wasn't serving you. Your mother's an adult, man. And I know, I tell you guys this all the time, that some people, when they make these decisions, they can't come back from it. They don't come back from it. We want that for that person. Nobody wants to see somebody hurt forever, but we can't allow other people's decision. If you take nothing from this podcast, I want you to carry that with you today. We cannot allow people's circumstances and situations to become our circumstances and situations because we're helping that person. We can't let that person's pain or addiction or disease imprint onto us and make that become our habit, or our addiction, our disease, because we're not fighting that. We're trying to help, but that's not our place. Our place is not to carry that. For whatever reason, you decided to help that person, which is good, man. Being humble and being, self-service, that's a good thing. I'm not knocking that. We should all do that. We need to do that more. But at the same time, when we go into a situation like that, especially a situation like this, we have to have our guards up a little bit, man. We have to understand, like,
this is their situation, not mine. And in my personal opinion, if you're one of those people who like to help, like to do good in the world, and like to service people, you need to understand that if you're not able to disconnect yourself from their situation outside of helping, not allowing it to become your situation, you don't need to be in that situation, because it's just going to destroy you. It's going to give you this jaded outlook on life and helping people, or just the world in itself, and you're going to become bitter. I'm proud of you, Jordan, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud that you stepped up to bat and you decided to take on this mantle of being your mother's caretaker and trying to help her through this trying time. But you know what you need to do, man. By you writing that email, expressing those thoughts and feelings, putting them out there in the universe, you answered your own question, man. You know what you need to do. It's already in your heart, man. It's already in your heart. It's a hard decision. That's what it is, man. It's a hard decision. And do not, please, I'm begging you, man, do not allow your brain to make a uncomfortable situation comfortable by giving you reasons to stick around. Because that's what's going to happen, man. I can put off college for a couple more years. It's still going to be there. It's not going anywhere. I can stay around with my mom, try to continue to help her. Man, it's okay. I can just, give up on these dreams or goals. They're always going to be there. This is more important right now. Don't allow yourself to do that, man. Don't do that, man. Don't become a crutch, man. Do not become a crutch for somebody who's able to walk. She's able to walk right now, man. Maybe not as straight as some other people, maybe not as easy as some other people, but she has the ability to use her legs, metaphorically. She's just choosing not to. And you have to be okay with that, man. You have to understand that it's okay. You did what you were supposed to do as a son. You did what you were supposed to do as a man. Try to get her some help. Try to get her somebody who's more professionally trained to deal with these type of situations. And keep it moving, man. I'm not saying cut her out of your life. You can, still check on her and make sure she's doing okay, and try your best to, help her deal with whatever situation she's dealing with from a distance. But her situation is not your situation. And the hardest thing I said to you today, Jordan, was she's an adult, man. She's making her decisions every day. It's not a disease, man. It's not a disease. It's an addiction. And with addiction, there's choices. You have decisions. Usually, typically with a disease, you don't. If you get cancer, you don't have a choice in cancer. It's just something you catch, right? ALS or Parkinson's or any of those types of diseases where it's just debilitating and it happens to you, you don't have a choice. But this is an addiction, man. She's choosing not to fix this addiction. And it's understandable because she's in pain. Most people get addictions because they're in pain, and that altered feeling helps them cope. But you gotta think about everything that's going on around you and all the people that it also affects. So that's my take on it, Jordan. For a recap, 1, if you haven't had that hard conversation with her about getting help, have that conversation with her. Let her know there's different things, different agencies and avenues she can go to get that help, right? Number 2, come to the decision within yourself that you did everything that you could do. You did what you were supposed to do as a son and a man. And have peace in that decision. And 3, continue on with your life, man. Continue on with your life, man. Use this as motivation to get farther and, succeed, have success. Because I promise you, man, life is going to life, man. Life is going to life. Especially when you're going to college. I went to college as well. Once you get into college, man, it's a whole different ball game, man. It's a whole lot of different things going to be thrown at you, and you have to be here, man. You got to be here. Right now, you're living out of here. But when you come to something like that, you got to be living out of here. decisions, man, the hard ones. But I believe in you, man. I believe you're going to make the right decision. Whatever decision you make, I believe it's going to be right for you. I think it's going to be something that you're going to be able to be at peace with, something you're going to be able to cope with, something that's going to be able to help you move forward in this life and be successful. Because, Jordan, I believe you're going to be successful, man. I can just read from your email that you're, up here, man, you're going through those processes of trying to figure things out. That's already a good sign. So, give me an update, man. Whenever this situation comes to its conclusion, or you make your decision, man, send me an email. It could be a personal email. It doesn't have to be a podcast email. Just let me know. Like, give me an update, because I'm interested, man. I like to hear these things and these situations, how they turn out. You can send me a personal email if you just need some further advice. Again, it's just advice, man. That's all it is. That's all it is, right? Just advice. You don't gotta listen to it. Hopefully it helped you. Hopefully you got something out of this podcast today, Jordan. And I want to say I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you, man. I know a lot of people aren't telling you that. A lot of people aren't saying, like, hey, I appreciate you, man, or you're doing your thing, or, I'm proud of you that you're able to carry this burden, carry around this bag of weights. I know it's hard, man. I know it's fucking hard. But these weights that you're carrying aren't serving you, man. You need to put it down. You need to put the bag down, right? You need to move. You need to keep moving forward. Well, that's today's podcast, guys, man. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys keep writing in, and I hope you guys, send Jordan some love his way, man, because this guy's going through it. I'm sure a lot of you people out there are going through a similar situation, so don't hesitate to write in and give your piece or give your advice on it, man. And if I believe it's something constructive or something that's going to help him move forward, I don't mind, bringing it up in a future podcast or giving an update. So that's the end of episode 9, man. Season 1. I'm glad to be back, man. Like I said, I was under the weather and I wasn't feeling good. I was in a hospital for a couple of days, man, but having some stomach issues and some back issues, man. I'm getting old, man. I'm breaking down. My engine has got high mileage, man. But I'm glad to see you guys again, man. I'm glad to look at your faces again, man. It makes me feel good. It's my medicine. Guys are giving me my medicine, man. And I want to say this right now to everybody out there listening to this podcast. I'm proud of you guys, man. I'm proud of you guys, man. You may not even be going through any issue or need any help, but you got these open, man. You got these ears open. You're out here trying to get new information and learn new things, hear new things. That's always a positive avenue to go through, man. Positivity. That's what we need more of. I know that shit sounds sappy. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what we need, man. And again, I know you guys are tired of hearing it, but Jordan, this is for you as well. One perfect brick, man. One perfect brick. That's all you gotta lay every day. I know a lot of us have walls, man. Like, there's a fucking wall, right? We gotta build this wall way up. But if you try to conquer the wall, man, all at one time, it's going to be harder for you. Yeah, you could do it. It's a possibility that you're able to do it. It's a possibility you're able to have that mental fortitude and keep trucking and just putting up multiple bricks. But why? Take your time, man. Take your time. Because there's no point in having a sloppy wall. Yeah, you can have a wall built up, but what's the point if it's unstable or sloppy? It's just going to collapse and you're going to be right back at square one. So take your time and lay that one perfect brick, whether it's your diet or something like Jordan's dealing with his mother, decisions, family, finance, health. Take that one brick, decide where it needs to be placed, place it in your life perfectly, and be at peace with it. Be at peace with it. Until next time, guys, I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode.